Ukraine is today a slaughterhouse, right in the heart of Europe. Putin's aggressive war is so outrageous that even after repeated warnings from the US and Russia's long criminal record, Ukrainians couldn't believe that this could happen. And I still read news headlines not knowing quite how to process them. Could it be that thousands of children are being forcibly deported to Russia? Could it be that teenage girls are being raped in the street in front of their family and their neighbors? Was a building that had the word children on it really bombed? And are civilians today in Mariupol systematically being tortured and starved to death? Unfortunately, the answer is yes.
Excellency Emin Japarova, the Deputy Foreign Minister of Ukraine.
When President Zelensky addressed the Security Council, he compared Russia's soldiers to ISIS. Well, I have spent the last 7 years representing victims of ISIS's genocide. Our great success was that this body, the UN Security Council, in a rare show of unity, agreed to set up an investigation. This happened the year that my children were born, and I remember very well coming to the council to watch the vote. It was my first trip as a working mother. But my children are now almost 5. And so far, most of the evidence that has been collected by the UN is in storage, because there is no international court to put ISIS on trial. And when survivors ask me to explain how can this be, I can only say I am ashamed. I am ashamed that there is no system of justice to respond to mass rape and mass slaughter.
My delegation has taken note of the briefings by Ms. Michelle Bachelet.
This is a time when we need to mobilize the law and send it into battle, not on the side of Ukraine against the Russian Federation or on the side of the Russian Federation against Ukraine, but on the side of humanity, to protect, to preserve, to shield people who are children, who are women and who are men, who have certain basic rights. And at that age, whether they are Russian or whether they're Ukrainian is absolutely irrelevant. Their families and their lives are being torn apart. So if this moment is not a moment for us to define and strain our sinews and come together, what moment will we wait for? And will we be alive to see it?
We also thank all the other briefers for their contributions to this.
ICC is a merely political instrument and has nothing in common with justice.
Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights and Mr. Karim Khan, the prosecutor of the...
At least 2 of the co-sponsors of today's meeting, the United States and the United Kingdom, did everything imaginable to shield their own military from the ICC's reach. Both countries developed protective legislation. American law is so far that it was nicknamed among Western legal professionals as the Hague Invasion Act. Political pressure, financial leverage, and even imposing personal sanctions on the ICC prosecutor, all these led to the desired outcome. Investigations into war crimes committed by soldiers of these countries in Iraq and Afghanistan were quote-unquote deprioritized by ICC. This is a rather sophisticated term for a very simple thing, namely not doing anything. This perfectly illustrates both the real degree of ICC's impartiality and objectivity, as well as hypocrisy of US and UK, who all of a sudden started to support the court and pour millions of dollars there as donations. Such an attitude turns justice into farce, paid for verdicts by paid for court.
Like any other war, the war in Ukraine has